Hey guys, thanks for clicking this video. If you're new to this space on YouTube, my name is Jamie. I live in Belize and I'm building a tiny house. And I'm actually really excited to be able to sit down and share this video with you because I think if I had this information in my 20s, I probably would have built a house much earlier in life. But anyways, no regrets. So yeah, in this video, I want to share with you information on the cost to build my tiny house, how I'm financing it, what the budget looks like. I hope it's going to be helpful for persons who are interested in building a tiny house or even just building a house in general in Belize. So I'm just gonna jump right in. I have some notes here because I really don't want to get off track, and my notes are reminding me that the first thing I want to talk about is a disclaimer. Well, first thing I want to mention is a disclaimer. My house is not yet done. It's almost done. It's pretty much done. I'm hopefully going to be finished by the end of this month. We're currently in October 2022. So I don't have all of the reconciliation done as yet, but I think I could still share with you what we budgeted and what we estimated certain things would what certain things would cost. Some things are set in stone, like the labor costs and all of that. So I'm getting a mortgage to finance my home, and the mortgage the cost that I submitted to the bank to build the house is $150,000. Most banks are different in the way that they, obviously serve their clients. But for my bank, they, process my loan and were able to approve the amount that I asked for based on a few things. And I'll quickly go through that because I don't really want to make this about the bank process. If you'd like information on what the full process was like, you could leave a comment below and I'll see how I can, share that information with you. Maybe I'll make an entire video specifically about that process. So just some quick information. They approve the loan based on what you qualify for, and what you qualify for is based on your salary, if you have any land, if you have any savings, if you have any assets, and of course if you have a co-signer on your mortgage with you. A co-signer could be a parent, it could be a spouse, it could be a sibling, a business partner, someone that can provide some surety to the bank that if you end up defaulting, they'll be able to cover your monthly payments. So that's just really quick information. And also some final quick information about the mortgage itself. So most banks in Belize specifically don't tend to give you all your money up front. They give you the money in disbursements. For my bank, each disbursement can be a maximum of $25,000. So that means in the building implementation plan that you submit to them, the works that are completed has to be within the budget of $25,000. So whether that's if you're gonna build a foundation and a deck and maybe a frame, what the materials will cost to get that done, plus the labor has to be within $25,000. And at the end of that phase, the bank does an inspection to make sure that those three things that you listed in your plan have been completed, or at least 90% completed. And after they've completed the inspection of the works for that phase, they will approve the disbursement for the next phase. And for my bank specifically, each phase inspection comes with an inspection fee of $100. So that is taken out of your next disbursement total. So I never get $25,000 total. I always get $24,900 because they have to take out the inspection fee. And the inspection fee is applied whether or not they actually visit the site or if they just go off of the report that you submit to them. Usually your contractor, your project manager, whoever it is, prepares a phase report to show pictures of the works that were completed, to give some quick sentences, quick blurbs about what was completed. And that report is sent to the bank, and they will sometimes approve the second disbursement based on that alone, or sometimes they approve the disbursement on the report plus actually visiting the site. But regardless of how they approve it, they still take out that $100 inspection fee. Yeah, so I'm getting $150,000 to build a house, and that's being given to me by the bank in disbursements of $25,000. So instead of going through it phase by phase, what I thought I could share are just major costs so that you can see what the bulk of the money is going towards. So the first major cost that I have on my notes is labor. So the labor cost that we budgeted out is $90,000. That's the biggest cost, obviously. I think it's the biggest cost in most parts of the world. That's why some people build their own homes, or some people get family, or if you have a friend who's a contractor, this would be a really ideal route. But for my build, the labor cost that we budgeted is around $90,000. So that means $60,000 of the $150,000 budget is just on materials alone. So my second largest cost was for the windows and doors. My windows and doors total to around $25,000, and that's because I got them custom made. Obviously, you don't have to spend this much on windows and doors, but I'm just sharing what my costs are so you can have some kind of reference when you're maybe putting together your own budget or considering developing a budget or creating a budget for a tiny house or a house in general. My windows and doors came up to around $25,000. One, because most of the tiny house is just windows and doors. I really wanted the space to be light and airy and a lot of openness, the feel of openness. So there are windows and doors splattered across the whole tiny house. Everywhere is just openness. There's a 16-foot bifold door in my bedroom. In the kitchen, there's a bifold window. And then the rest of the house, there are some floor-to-ceiling windows. There are 3 external doors. But yeah, so for my windows and doors, this was the second highest cost because it's custom made. There were certain things that I really wanted to include. So I wanted shatterproof windows, tempered glass. If there is a really bad weather, thunderstorming, hurricanes, I'm still safe at home. And so yeah, so that all of that was built into the cost that was submitted to the company. I got my windows and doors, if you're in Belize and you want to check them out, I got them from Peter's Glass in Spanish Lookout. And so another major cost was obviously the roof and the walls. We originally were gonna go with, and when I say we, I mean me and my architect, because I feel like it's me and her. This is me and her, this is our project. We are originally gonna go with wood, but after considering the cost and considering the maintenance of wood, especially in Belize, we decided to pivot and go with corrugated metal for the external walls. And actually, when she and I went to the company where we got the roofing from, we ended up meeting the owner, and he gave us the contact for another business that did custom siding. And so the roof itself came up to around $6,000, and that included the sheeting for the roof, the paneling, the soffits, everything, the screws, everything was included in that cost. And then for the siding, which was custom made, to mimic the aesthetic of wood, not the graining, but the paneling itself, the look of paneling. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, so I'll just insert a picture here. To get the look of paneling, that needed to be custom done. And so the walls itself, the external walls, came up to around $6,000. For the roof and the walls, we used both corrugated metal, galvanized metal, so that it'll last forever and ever. I think when we were talking to the owner of Coop Sheet Metal, that's where I got my roof from, he was saying that for this type of material, it doesn't need maintenance at all. Maybe every 15 years you can do a spray of galvanized paint to maintain the vibrancy and the newness of the material. Another major cost was my biodigester. So instead of going with a septic, I'm going with a biodigester, which is much more eco-friendly, better for the environment. It's basically a filtration system. So it takes the black water from the house and feeds it through a filter system, and then through a leach field that allows that water to be absorbed into the earth and be good for the environment. So it'll just go naturally into the land so that my grass, my plants that are on the property itself can have good water that is not harmful to it. So yes, that was another major cost, and that cost was $5,400. I really want to make sure that the tiny house is a sustainable space, from the type of materials that we use to the way that the house actually functions and operates. So I'm just winding down to my last few major costs. Another major cost was, of course, the flooring. The house is a combination of wooden flooring as well as tiles. So for all the areas where there's going to be a wet space, so those are the bathrooms and the kitchen, I have a little mud room that I'm going to do laundry in. I have a wash basin in so that I could bathe my puppy or my dogs, do some hand washing. Those are wet spaces, so I'm incorporating wood tiles. And then for the other areas where there's not going to be any wet spaces, I'm having hardwood flooring, and that comes up to around $12,000. The tiles are more expensive than the wood, because the tiles, they not only cover the floor, they're also going to be covering some of the walls as well, especially in the areas where we have sinks or faucets. And then the last major cost is, of course, finishings. Doing the cabinetry and the main door, the deck, plumbing, electrical works, other small things, and I estimated that at around $12,000. Those are my major costs. Like I said, my house is still not done, so I haven't been able to reconcile. But when I do reconcile, I'm going to do a part 2 video so that I can share exactly what I spent, and to give you an idea, a reference for if you're planning on building a home, or if you want to, just share this information with someone who's thinking of having their own space. But yeah, that is how much I'm spending, how I'm financing my house. If you have any questions, I love getting your questions. Please feel free to drop it below. I will try to answer as best as possible. Sorry, I'm home with my family, and my mom is in the kitchen cooking. But yes, like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below. I love hearing from you. I love being able to share this information, because like I said, if I had this information, if someone was telling me this earlier in life, I probably would have built earlier. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you're staying well, and I'll see you in my next one.